Right, hi everyone, welcome back. This episode we're going to talk about rings and the exhaust. So I've been meaning to get on with the exhaust for a while, and it's one of those jobs I've been putting off because I know it's a ball ache to get the whole thing off again. But the two issues I have known about for a while that I haven't really done anything about is the end of the exhaust where it's cut, where it does a 90 degrees and goes out. Is quite sharp, and obviously the radius for the IVA, so 2.5mm, sharp edges. Looked at the Cobra, that's got like a folded end on it, and I knew I had to do something about the one on the Daytona. So what I've decided to do was I ordered some rings. I've got them on eBay for, I think I bought 4 for about £8, like next to nothing. It says it's 316, it's stainless steel, it's 50mm ring, and it's a 4mm diameter. So my point was, or my aim was, to weld this right on the end, and it just basically, and fill in with Tig-It all the way around the back, and it should, once it's ground and smooth, should give a nice radius to the tip that doesn't look ridiculous. It's not like a big end that's bolted on or welded over. So in a minute we'll have a look. I'll take the tips off and we'll actually see if this is going to work properly. I've offered them up, and they do look like it should be reasonable. The second bigger issue is the noise. You can't really tell from recordings, like when anyone watches YouTube videos. Things sound loud, but you really don't get it until you're actually there. This is pretty loud. So I've used apps on my phone to do sound recording, to try and get a decibel meter, I think that's what you call it. The IVA rules are, I think it's 45 degrees from the exit of the exhaust, is at 50 centimeters from the floor, etc. There's the rules. I've put it in the right place when I read the rules, ran the car, and it's got to be at 3/4 of max RPM, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but there are the rules, the folders over there. And I was getting just over 100, 101, 102, 100. And it's 99, 98, I can't remember, that it needs to be. So I'm not sure if because it's in the workshop and it's echoing, or the fact that my phone is not accurate. Like it's too close to go, right, sod it, take the whole exhaust off and put one single large IVA muffler on just to do that, and then rip it all back off afterwards and put in what I want. That's an option, and I know people do that, but I want to see if I can do something with what I've got on there. So they are stuffed and they're packed, which you've seen in one of the first episodes, I think, where I packed the exhausts. So the plan was, the moment they point 90 degrees out the side of the car, right at the sound recording equipment when you're running it and doing a test. So I'm going to aim them down about 45 degrees, maybe 50, maybe a bit more. Like I'm just going to move both tips down. So not only when I sort out the sharp end with these, hopefully, is by pointing them down, it'll be away from the sound recording equipment more so, that should, hopefully, at least make a slight difference. So I think the aim of the game is I've got to take the tips off to sort these out. So when I'm doing that, I can cut the bolts off at the end, which are what hold them 90 degrees out. There's a bolt welded on the back, which you'll see shortly, and then rotate them to where I want them and then just tack it on there. But I can put them back on with no bolt to organise it and then to do a test. Still, when I test, as long as I'm getting within a decibel, maybe 2 max, out of what the IVA require, it may well be good enough because my test gear is not official and we're in a quite echoey garage. So yeah, I'll probably chance it on that, knowing what the next step is, whole new muffler for the side, which I don't really want to do. It's a big ball ache, I don't have the skills. So what we'll do now is we'll take you around the side of the car, show you the 2 exhausts that are still on one side in the right position, or the position they've been in since I put them on, and then I will show you the other side, which will be easier to take off. So yeah, let's get on with it and see what happens. So this is how I say design. I was going to say designed it, but that's a lie. This is how I put it together. When I got my exhaust, the tips didn't have any orientation. I've had these. This is all welded up, so I could have rotated them to have the pipes at any angle I wanted. I like the look of it coming out the side. Now, when it's out in the gravel and I fire it up, it still blows gravel and dust around at that angle. So pointing it down, if I'm on loose ground, it's gonna put dust everywhere. But either way, so what I did then was I had a little bolt welded on the back of the tip, which you'll see, which goes into this plate. So this plate locates the tips, and there's a plate in there, or you can just see it through there, which locates these 2. So there's a bit of threaded bar, or a bit of thread welded on the side of these. So this locates this section, but as you can tell, these pull out. There's a little bolt that goes in, so there's a hole through this, and there's a welded nut on the inside of this, which you'll see again in a minute, which locates and orientates. So, which is good, because that means that I can then leave these where they are, take these tips off, cut the bolt off, orientate them down, and hopefully see if I can make a difference to the sound. But again, we'll talk about the ring. So this is the ring. So my plan is to have the ring. It does fit. I think it looks okay. Once it's been tigged around the back, obviously I'm going to put these on the sanding belt just to flatten them completely so they match up quite nice. I think that's an all right end. It doesn't look, it's not what I wanted originally, but it doesn't exactly look horrible. And when it's angled down sort of here, I think it looks smart. So yeah, now on the other side, which is easier to work on, I'll take the tips off, put them on the bench. I'll actually show you what I've just explained. And yeah, then we'll have a go at seeing whether I can actually tack to these. I've never welded stainless. I've had a bit of practice, but you know, that's the fun thing, just to have a go. Right, this was a bit of a pain getting these off because they were nice and tight in there. To get the nuts off the back of this orientation plate or location plate was easy enough. I've slacked inside there as well, so there's a bit more movement on it. And then the bottom one came out okay because it had a bit of clearance. It's pulled the liner about which they can go back in. The top one was a right nightmare because it was almost hard up against this. So a little bit jiggery pokery, and yet I avoided having to take the whole exhaust off. So yeah, let's go and look. We've got the tips on the bench. So here we go. So this is how it is in the side there. There's a hole here with a nut welded on the inside, and that is how that is located in the pipe. So there's a short bolt that goes through the back of the outside of the pipe, locates in here, and just holds it in place so it can't move, can't come off. And I had these welded on when the exhausts were relatively new when they were here, so that first off I could hold the whole exhaust on the side of the car, and you know, that's what they're there for. So what I'll do now is I think I'm going to first off is put these on the belt sander and just flatten the faces off completely, because they're good but they're not perfect. Even this one, I'm using a bit of pen on it. It's not what I want. See, the middle bit is a bit low. It's actually black marker pen I just put on there. So yeah, I'm gonna sand these off, offer the rings up, crack out the TIG we use for a little bit, and do a bit of practice on some stainless, get it all dialed in as much as I know how, and then see if I can at least just tack in a couple of places to hold the rings on and see if it's going to be any good. And if I feel like I'm doing okay with my practice pieces, then I'll have a go at filling around. I mean, I can always grind it back and smooth it out, because these will not be polished. These are always going to be ceramic coated white. That was always the plan from the headers back, or from the block, I suppose the headers included. So yeah, give that a go, and I'll come back to you. When I've sanded them. Okay, right. So I've got one tip laid on its side. I've sanded the tip off flat. I've laid a bit of old alley. I've got down, well, a bit of new plate of alley there, just to get this resting on it. Magnet on the bench is holding it up nice and tight. The magnet's there with a bit of steel on top to hold it down. That's holding it in the right place. It's a matching kind of edge all the way around. I've done a couple of bits on a plate of stainless there. So yeah, I'm gonna have a go at seeing if I can at least lay a tack on it, and if it's going to take, and maybe another one further down, and then yeah, just play it by ear and see if it works. I don't know enough about TIGging, especially stainless, to know if it's going to work ahead of time. I'm not 100% sure on what this is made of. I know what it was supposed to, but it was an eBay job, so let's wait and see. Cool, I'll get on with it and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so the tack's taken on one side, and obviously the heat's lifted it slightly. See that? So now obviously I want to see see if I can clamp it down, make it tight before I put another tack on, because the last thing I want to do, is tack it when it looks a bit wank. So yeah, I'm going to either see if I can either lean on it when I'm doing it. Yeah, I'll either lean on it if it looks like it's going to work, and then I'll put a tack on there which hopefully will hold it, because it's not really anything I can put in the vise very easily, so I think just leaning on it will be okay. So I'll have a go. No, that hasn't worked. I fucked that up. Okay, so I've just put a second. So the first tack was okay, and it held the ring on, like I said. The second tack, first attempt at the second tack, just melted up the side. It couldn't get a puddle on the ring and the pipe at the same time. So I had another go just down from it, and it's held. It's taken. It's nice and tight. I leant on it. So I'm happy with the location. I just now need to have a go at tigging round it and laying some filler to make sure that making sure that I don't melt away at the pipe. So I'm gonna just have to give it a go. Anything that's broken can be fixed, I suppose. So let's just have a go and see what I create. There we go. Okay, so I got a bit carried away then. I didn't do much filming. First off, I was pretty annoyed with the quality of my welding. Obviously, I can't do it, so I'm trying. So what I've ended up doing was I did what I could all the way around. It took a while to turn it around and put as much of a bead in as I could, and then when it cooled, I went back and filled some of the shitty bits. I used the paddle wheel to take off some bits that were lumpy and crap, and yeah, 2 or 3 sort of passes in different areas, letting it cool in between. And I've turned what is this and this into that. So I mean, I've run it with the paddle wheel and shaped the weld out a bit and put it over the wire wheel just to smooth it off. Yeah, so that's got the radius. Well, it's not too warm now. It's got the radius. Yeah, I think it looks all right. I envisaged just one fill round it and it'd be lovely. But yeah, so there you go. Where's the camera? That bit. So I've smoothed it all out. And that will now hopefully sit in the kind of downwards, 45 degrees down, maybe, or that way, orientation, rather than right out, maybe a bit further down. So yeah, relatively happy. Few sort of setting changes initially. I think I had it on way too high, which is why when I arced it up, it just burned through the pipe, which is the thinner of the two metals. So yeah, I think I've wound it down. What I'll do now is I'll put a tack or 2 tacks on this one, and then see if I can do this cleaner all the way around without having to keep going back and filling it in. So we'll see. I'll come back to you once the second one's done, probably before I clean it up, so actually show what I've produced. But if it's horrendous, I'm not going to show you. I don't want to embarrass myself. Someone come and teach me to TIG weld. I don't think it's a thing you can just pick up yourself, but oh well, I'm giving it a go. Right, okay, so I've just tacked the second one. So a nice, where's the camera? So a nice, I mean, fucking my version of nice little tack there. I went for one on the side, which, it's crap. There we go. You're probably not going to focus. It melted down the sides, and then in the middle it tacked. So annoyingly though, I did do the easy one first, and then I had to kind of push it down and come in from the back, because again the first one made it lift off slightly. So yeah, I'm happy with that, the location of it now. So, and it's pretty close. It's pretty much touching all the way around, which means it should be nicer to form that puddle and move with it. So we'll give it a go. Right, I have done both of them. I've cut the locating bolts off the back quite simply with the grinder, paddle wheeled them off smooth, finished both of the rings, and a little bit of a clean out around the inside where some of the penetration from the welding had caused like rough areas. The second one, I think this one maybe, was easy. I didn't actually use as much filler to go around it to begin with. I just caused the puddle and then dragged that round. It gave more of a steep profile, so then afterwards I filled it and then I paddle wheeled it out. So I'm pretty happy with how they both look. I mean, I've got the radius on it, which the IVA is pretty much the only thing that I'm doing this for. It's got to be done. I was going to put them back on today at the angle, but to do it, to line them up properly to get them over, they've got to go over the fiberglass wadding on the inside, and it's going to be a bit of a pain for the top one, so I might actually have to slack that off a bit to pull it away from the car. So I'm going to crack on with that now and then see if I can get them in and at least see what they look like then and see what angle fits best. Got to get it done, so let's keep going. And there you go. So I've just put both of the ends in. They're still can be twisted. The exhausts are not in the 100% the right spot because obviously the two retaining bolts have been cut off of here, and the top retaining bolt there has been slacked right off, so I could get the top one out enough to get it in. So if you look down it, that's kind of the angle that I'm approximately going for. I mean, I'm talking about making them a bit parallel, but all that can be tidied up when I know whether or not this or this change will actually affect any difference in the decibels. So I can probably run it all right actually without a bit of vibration, without these bolts being welded on the back there, because it makes literally no difference. Then well, it's a sort of waste of time, but at least those rounded edges are on now, so it looks all right. I want to clean up a bit more on the inside now. You can see them, although this is ground level, so you'll be looking from up here in the future when it's on the ground, but still it's all about the details. Right, hey, welcome back. I'm not sure where in the video this is because this is realistically about 2 or 3 days after I think I've done my last clip. So I've done the exhaust tips, I've cut the bolts off the back, I've put them back on the car, I've moved the cars around, I've gone and borrowed a sound meter. I hope I go and do an advert if it keeps. There's one for you, Rob Dom. Yeah, so now what I want to do is I'm going to fire the car up, move it out the front, let it warm up, get to temperature. I'm then going to set the sound meter up as per the IVA. You know, I couldn't remember exactly. I think it's 50 centimeters away. We'll find out there. Set it outside, rev it to the 3 quarters of whatever it says in there, and then see what sound we get. And then again, I think I'll do it inside after it's warmed up. I don't want to fire it in here and warm it up inside because it just pollutes me and I can't breathe. So yeah, I think that's the plan today, and that'll probably be the end of this video then, and we'll see. Hopefully we've got less than 99 decibels. But yeah, if I show you quickly, so the exhausts really are pointing down now. I can still move them. I've not put the bolts, welded the bolts back on here to actually line them up, so they're effectively kind of freely sitting only on the first bolt set up at the front. So when I fired it up yesterday to move the cars around, it blew a huge patch of gravel away from outside on both sides. So that's one byproduct, I suppose, of chucking it out. So yeah, I'll get on with that, and then I will set the camera up once I've got it all running. Okay, so I've just opened my IVA copy. It's not the latest copy, but the updates haven't been done since 2010 on this. So unless in the latest version is updated, which I can check later, I don't have the internet right now, I'm pretty sure this is okay. So I'm going to run with this for my test at the moment. So as it says here, the microphone must be the same height as the exhaust outlet, or 200mm, whichever is the higher. And you just see my exhausts are low, so it will be 200mm. So I do have a little box there with a box of router bits with my microphone on top. So that's my height. That's 200mm, 20 centimeters. An angle of 45 degrees to the exhaust outlet in the direction which gives the greatest distance between it and the vehicle's contour. I'm a little bit confused by what they mean by that. Oh, and the next line, which I haven't showed you, says 500mm from the exhaust. So body contour, I mean, this is 90 degrees, obviously, and it's in line with the exhaust, just about there. So what I figured was if I take 45 degrees, there's the 40, I'll move this out the way. There's the 45 degree, 500mm is at the end of the tape measure. So if I move that to there and then just push the tape measure out the way. So that actually makes the microphone a bit closer. Let's just move it back so the microphone's at 500mm. So I'm sure there'll be some comments, but this is how I read it. So 500 mil away, half a metre away, 20 centimetres up as a minimum or in line with the exhaust. It can't be lower than 20, so it's at 20. Exhaust are pointing down. So yeah, this is the setup that I will have when I move it outside and fire it up. I might even leave it on just for the sake of firing up in here, just so I can. But because I'm not sure about this 45 degrees, I will probably try all different angles, just because I want to get as much information as possible. So yeah, it doesn't seem too difficult. You've got the gear. So you've just seen that it's pretty high. Hang on, let's move this camera. Pretty high when I fired it up in here. God, my hair. So I've just moved outside. It's going to warm up. I'm going to set the camera back up again, looking down like you just saw, and then we'll see if we can make 150. Why not? Right, so I'm sure by this point you've just seen the footage of me outside testing in both of the different orientations of 45 degrees. I mean, I'm splitting hairs there because even at tick over it was 107, 108, whatever you just saw in there, maybe even 110 in here. So yeah, 4,000 RPM, which is where I pushed it to. Yeah, what will be 120 something, 120, 123. So that's got to be below 99. So I've got a shit ton of work to do now. Yeah, possible options. I know a friend of mine had an IVA exhaust either side, just one large, either round or slightly oblong shaped, just exhaust silencer unit. I mean, I've got 90 centimeters of space down the side, giving enough for a tip and for the two sets of headers to come into it, so about 90. And I can probably go to about, what are we talking? Probably about 10 to 13-ish centimeters in diameter. If obviously I can get one that's slightly not quite round, like jelly bean, well not jelly bean shaped, but like oval, then that will fit better with the shape of the car. So yeah, that looks like it's probably going to be the only way I can go. I don't have any idea. These are already packed with all the fiberglass wall that can go in there. It's just a horrendous amount of noise that's got to be got rid of. So brilliant. Nothing like having shit ton more work to do. Hey, I think I'll end that one here, and yeah, let's see what I come up with next time.